No more fucking around. It's Wild Style Radio. Wild Style Radio.
Stand up and shout!
Welcome to the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show with Wisk and Kev, coming to you live from Salisbury Center Studios in Manassas, Virginia, on the Wild Style Network, fueled by Monster Energy. What's up, dude?
Not much, man. How you doing today?
Doing good, doing good.
It is Leap Day. Happy Leap Day to you.
Happy Leap Day. Yes.
And this is the first and one of the few times that we'll have a Stand Up and Shout Rock Show on Leap Day.
Yes, unless we're doing this
4 years?
4 years from now. Let's hope so.
Then it would be
but-
Leap Day number 2. That's what I'm saying. There's not going to be a high count.
No,
No matter how we bend or twist this.
not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a new episode of the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show, and we've got a big show coming here to the Salisbury Center on March 22nd, Friday night. Going to have national recording artist Spread Eagle here.
Yeah.
And joining us live over Zoom is Rob DeLuca, bass player and one of the founding members of Spread Eagle. Welcome to the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show, Rob.
Thank you for having me. And also is Jommy Paleta, our lead guitar player.
Cool.
And only guitar player.
The.
He's the lead guitar player. He's the rhythm guitar player. He's the backup guitar player. You name it.
Got it all done. So I'm really excited to get to meet you and chat with you and then obviously see you guys perform when you come to the Salisbury Center, because I remember the band all the way back to your first album release when we were both in college. Both worked at our college radio station, but that album was released and pushed pretty heavy. I think it was Concrete Marketing and some of the other groups, and I really enjoyed the first album. So it's a pleasure to be able to chat with you.
What college were you at? What station?
It was Virginia Tech.
And WVT down at Virginia
Yes.
Tech. So
Yeah.
Kevin was a program director, and I did a little DJing there on the station. Also, it was a fun album to play.
It was.
Yeah, it was. That was always exciting. A part about college radio or just radio in general is getting a new release from a new band. So I have that fond memory of Spread Eagle, and it is a treat to talk to you today.
I don't have many big regrets, but I have a couple small ones. And one of them is we didn't play in the general DC area enough. Baltimore, DC, Virginia, Northern Virginia.
Sure.
We just didn't play there enough. And it's so close to us, relatively, because we're a New York City band. I'm in New York City right now. And I wish we had played there more. I really do. But Jommy, our guitar player, lives in Frederickstown. Where is it? Hagerstown. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. And that is, so we're about 30 miles southwest of DC, and say Hagerstown's probably a little bit more, maybe 45 miles northwest. So it's all pretty close, the area that you're describing. So, yeah. So we're excited to have you. So are you saying then, oh, there we go. All right. So we just had another join. That's fantastic.
Hello. Hey, everyone.
Well, hold on a second. Looks like John's getting your audio feed.
You can't hear
Let
my
him know if he
audio?
needs to turn up his volume.
Yep, we got you
I
now.
can hear you.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay,
I can hear you.
that's good.
So you're coming from
Did you
Hagerstown
have fun
now.
last night, Jommy? Did you have fun? We played in New York City last night.
Yeah, I'm just back from New York, so I'm a little tired from the travel and everything, but it's good.
I think Ray is just landing now, and Rick is out shopping for things for the cruise. So
We're getting you guys on the jet set. And then, Rob, we were talking and this is just quick turnaround because you guys are heading for the Monsters of Rock cruise tomorrow, heading out for that.
yeah. So we're glad to be here before we kind of have spotty Wi-Fi for a week and won't be able to do much promo for your show at Salisbury. So 22nd, is it the 22nd or the 15th?
It is the
22nd.
22nd, Friday, March 22nd.
At the Salisbury Theater.
Yes. Yeah. Looking forward to it. In Manassas.
And our drummer, Rick DeLuca, who may be joining in, hopefully, he was born in Manassas.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. So I wonder, because there's been a lot of development. I'm sure that's happening everywhere, in every town. I wonder what he'll recognize, he won't recognize. We're actually, it was an old movie theater, you know, where you're performing on the 22nd.
Nice.
That has been converted, you know, into a live music venue. So I wonder if he'll remember it that way. In other words, when he pulls in, and you know, we've talked about that several times. The movies that we saw here as kids, but it's even better seeing live music now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was there that long. That'd be a good question for him because he was an Army brat, so he was
Okay.
He was moving around. So
Sure.
he may not have been there very long. We'll see.
Yeah.
I never asked him that.
Mm-hmm.
So very interested in having you share a little bit about the band's history. I know you had a couple releases in the late 80s, early 90s, and then a bit of a break, and had a more recent release that came out in 2019. But for our audience and for the folks that, you know, will be coming to check you guys out live on the 22nd, if you could share a little bit about the band and the history of the band.
Sure, I'd love to. So yes, we formed in 1989. We released 2 albums in the early 1990s on MCA Universal. And then we released 1 album in 2019 on Frontiers Music SRL. And then we got Jommy, our guitar player, in July of 22. Well, he started doing shows with us in July of 2022. And this is the lineup that we've been trying to get, you know, since for a lot of years. Ray and I, who's the original singer, we put it back together in 06, but and we've had a lot of fun since then, but it's never been really what we heard in our head, like the original spirit, till we got Jommy in 2022. So now we're really where we want to be. And it was always good, even with different people. It just was not quite Spread Eagle. And now it's back to sounding like Spread Eagle. And I mean, we're very protective of it, very particular about it, because it means a lot to us. And for those who don't know the music, you know, we're everywhere, Spotify everywhere. And we're basically what we are is we're a hard rock band that doesn't rely on any backing tracks. All 4 of us sing. So, but it's hard rock. It's, you know, even though we all sing, and we sing well, it's an aggressive rock. So there's, you know, it's kind of like a dying breed. I don't know if all the listeners know this, but the truth is bands really do a lot of lip syncing these days. If it's not lip syncing, they have added guitars. They have a lot of just crap in their live show, and it's an obscene percentage of bands do this. For those who don't know, you'd be very surprised. So, having said that, we pride ourselves on being a true, real rock and roll band. Sometimes our songs sound a little different than the albums. That's the beauty of it. You know, we arrange for 4 guys playing our instruments on a stage live without backing tracks. So that's what we're about.
Awesome. And we've had quite a few conversations about this on the show related to, because we're huge music fans and we try to go to see as much live music as we can. And some groups can hide it fairly well.
Yeah.
Others not so much. But you generally can tell. Yeah. And, you know, so we know that we'll love that. And, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, it's better when it's truly live.
Right.
I mean, everyone has their opinion like that. What we're talking about, backing tracks, it's a different thing. It's a whole different genre of a live show. It's more like, you know, a rock show meets like a play or something like that, or some kind of performance. And it's fine if that's what you want to do, but that is not what we do. That is not what we do. What we do, we allow for the element of danger, which is, I think, intrinsic to rock and roll, or at least the rock and roll that we grew up on and love. So, you know, anything can happen at any time. We don't have click tracks. We don't have any of that. We just get up there and play like Led Zeppelin did, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, when you have people on the level of like Jommy and you know, the band, it's great. It's really cool to hear musicians making music, you know.
Yeah.
And it might be a hair different every night, you know, which is fine.
So, you know, describing your sound, and you were, you know, paying attention to that much, you know, that much of it being live, and that dedication to a particular town. I'll say one thing I love about your description, you know, in your online bios and social media, you describe yourself as a East Coast street metal band, and I love that label. Like, tell me what that means. You know, describe what that means, what it means to be, like, how you define your sound as East Coast street metal.
What can mean different things to different people. Jommy, what is street metal to you? What is Spread Eagle to you? Because everyone's opinion is just as valid as mine.
I think the meaning, I mean, I'm not the founder of the band, of the name of the band, or the style of the band, but I think that street metal means something that it's your experience being in a city like New York, and with all the bad things, good things, and all the experience that you can do in the city. And
Sure.
so it's a sound that is inspired by all these things, I think.
I agree. Jommy, by the way, is from Italy. He's from Sardinia, actually. So
Right.
we're glad to have him as a what's a Marylander? What do you call that? What is the word for that?
I would call it that. I think you got it. I mean, that sounds right to me, Marylander. You know, I know Virginian. That's a very obvious one to us, but, like, you know, I think we call
Marylander.
You're both of them.
Exactly.
So I think his description is great. You know, like we heard what was coming out of LA at the time, which was obviously very important. Guns N' Roses, LA Guns, you know, it's very important to the genre, but we were something different. And we felt like, even though we appreciated those two bands and what was coming out of there, Love, Hate, and some others, we didn't think it represented us. So we wanted to show the world what the East Coast version of that interpretation is. And like what Jommy said, it's about the feel of the city, the sound of the city, the lyrics that reflect your experiences there. You know, it just creeps, living in Manhattan just creeped into everything, and helped create our sound.
Sure. Cool.
And you mentioned you guys are getting ready to head out on the Monsters of Rock cruise. Talk a little bit about that. It's something I would like to experience. I think it would be a great week event. Are you guys on the ship the entire time, or are there bands that are coming in and out each different day?
Well, we're on the ship the entire time, but there are certain ports where you can get off for a few hours and just kind of like clear your head. But it's absolutely nuts. There's 3,500 people on a very large boat with stages. There's at least 4 stages, and the bands are staggered. So there's music constantly from noon till about 2 a.m. And it's just like a traveling rock and roll circus. And it's mainly about the bands playing, but there's all these other activities that are fun and wacky also. And there's this whole element of people who come every year, and they do their own projects, and it's just really, really creative and fun and crazy. One stage is outdoors, 3 are indoors. And it's amazing. We play twice, plus we have 2 other events. I can let Jommy talk about them. But Jommy, have you ever been on a cruise at all?
No, I've never been in a cruise, but I've been in ships.
Yeah.
Because from Sardinia, my land, I went many times in North Italy, back and forth. So I've been ships.
When you travel from Sardinia to mainland Italy, where is the port you land at in Italy?
Usually Genova, the
Genoa.
city of Genova, but sometimes also other cities, Livorno.
Gotcha. Livorno.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
yeah,
did they
that's the
have-
cruise. It's hard to describe in words how crazy it is, and for you too, John, you're going to be just blown away by how wacky and fun it is. It's such a great experience that you walk off that boat saying, "Wow, I can't believe I was a part of that." So I've done it a bunch of times, so it's great.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, I'm imagining they have like recovery stations of oxygen and saline, you know, like at the 2 to 3 a.m., you know, end of day, you know, experience with that much live music. I mean, what you just described, over 12 hours of intense rock and roll.
Food is included, so you can eat like crazy.
Yeah.
And the food is good. For you foodies out there.
Yeah, excellent. So I got to ask about the name, because the name is provocative and it definitely catches your attention. And that's one of the things I notice when I describe Spread Eagle to people who've never heard of them before. So it'd be nice to hear that coming from you. Where does the name come from, and how did you get to be called Spread Eagle?
Well, we had been together for a few years. The original drummer, the original guitar player, and I. Neither of those two are in the band anymore. And we had been together for a few years trying to get a record deal, because, you know, we're talking the very late 80s right there. And it was less, bands were doing it less on their own back then. It was more about getting a label support. Right. The bigger the label, the better. So that was our goal for years and years and years. And we just couldn't get that to happen because we had a different singer, and it just wasn't right till we got the group that recorded together. So, which included Ray West on vocals. So we were really tight, the three, you know, the guitar player, the drummer, and I'm the bassist.
Sure.
We were super tight because we had been playing for years, and we were a rehearsal band. We would rehearse 5-6 days a week, every week. Mm-hmm. So we were really, really good band. And when we got Ray, it came together very quickly. And we got signed within like 3 months after years of trying to get a record deal. Once we got the missing link of Ray, we got signed within 3 months. So we didn't have a name yet, and we were about to sign the papers, and we had to come up with a name. So we had this song called Spread Eagle, and our manager, Scott Calvert, rest in peace, he suggested just going with that, and we did. And at the time, yeah, it was a provocative name, but now there's bands called Pussy Riot. I'm talking mainstream bands.
Yeah.
Pussy
Riot,
Mannequin Pussy.
Thunder Pussy.
Thunder Pussy, yep.
Thunder Pussy, you know, like Alabama, you know, so like Alabama Thunder Pussy. So it's just like, you know, it's nothing now. But at the time, it was a little provocative. So that's the story.
So having had some longevity in the music industry, and obviously you mentioned, you know, back when you guys were first starting, trying to get signed, that was sort of the track that most bands had to take. Try and get signed by a label so you could record, you know, and market the band, you know, in a lot of cases finance the videos that were on MTV at the time, and speak to sort of that versus how things go now, where a lot of music is on streaming services. There's a lot of access to it. It seems like with some of the technological advancements, it maybe is a little bit easier to self-produce, but is that a good thing relative to what you experienced early on in your career and trying to get hooked up with the recording contract?
Jommy, why don't you talk about modern times of, you know, how bands do it, and I'll talk about how I compare that to when we started.
Yeah, I think nowadays everything is different. The music market is completely different from the 80s, 90s. So nowadays, it's very important to be present in social media. So, and all the digital platforms. So you can sell your music, or the people can stream your music, and it's not so much about the record, the physical record anymore. And that's a very big difference from the past, I can say.
Yeah,
And
Mike. Oh, sorry.
and also nowadays is all the musicians have a little studio at home that can record demos, and if you have a good equipment, you can also record a full album at home if you have a very good gear. And so in the past, maybe you always needed a very good studio, professional studio with the sound engineers. That I think it's always better to have it also nowadays. But you can do many things right now also just with a home computer and plugins. That can be good thing for a part, can say, and bad thing for another side. So depends on what's your objective, what you want to do. And yeah, I think nowadays works like that.
I agree with everything Jommy said. Like, imagine when we first signed our record contract, you know, you have to take social media completely off the platform. It wasn't invented.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
how do you get in these it was print magazines and MTV and radio. So how do you get exposed to these people? You needed that big parent company, honestly, just spending money to make that happen. And also what Jommy's saying is very true, that just making demos was an expensive process. You always had to go to a studio, even if you weren't in a top of the line professional studio for your demoing stage. It still costs, you know, quite a bit of money to go into a little studio to do it.
Sure.
And then going into the big studio to make a record, you needed hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they used to charge $100,000 and up to make a video also.
Right.
I don't know if that was a big chunk of that was padding people's pockets or what, but that's what it would cost us. So without that label, you know, that's why we were chasing that label for years, because we weren't able to do it on our own.
Yeah. So you guys, you have a great East Coast tour going on right now. We're in the middle of it, and it's obviously a part of it is the Monsters of Rock cruise. But tell us a little bit about the music that Spread Eagle's working on right now, and some things that people will hear when they go out and see you guys on tour.
Well, we're always working on new music. We have a big chunk of new songs, I don't know, 8 or more, that we're demoing. We're in the process of demoing, getting back to that point of demoing. We're doing it somewhat home. Our drummer owns a studio, Rick DeLuca, small demo studio, and it's really nice, and he knows how to work his gear really well. So it's called Blood Orange Sound. So and Jommy has some home recording gear. I have some home recording gear. Ray has some home recording gear. So right now we're basically just waiting on Rick to send some drum demos, and I will travel down to Jommy's in Hagerstown and work on guitar tracks with him. He's very creative, and he's coming up with some cool stuff. Sure. And then we'll send them to Ray, our singer, and that will be our 4th album.
Okay.
So when we are done, it'll be our 4th album.
That's exciting. That's good stuff. I mean, that's exciting to hear that you'll be playing that, you know, when we see you guys on the 22nd.
Well, we'll be playing songs off our first 3 albums.
Oh, okay.
On
Sorry.
the 22nd at the Salisbury Theater in Manassas.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. So sounds like not a set date yet on when that fourth album's going to get done as of yet, but you're still compiling, putting the demos together to go in and then record.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jommy and I just started working together, and he's a pleasure to work with. So we're just waiting on some new drum demos.
Yeah, and I hope, you know, the timing's a little bit better for you too, you know, because you talk about the trends, you know, in terms of your album releases. You know, we saw trends change, obviously, in the music scene after the release of your first two albums. You know, and you're talking about, you know, how music is released, kind of the hoops that you had to jump through versus, you know, kind of more of a do-it-yourself approach. Did you feel kind of that Spread Eagle was maybe put off to some degree by the explosion of grunge that happened in the 90s?
I do, but I'm certainly not blaming that for us not being a mainstream household name. You know, things happen. I mean, the fact that we're talking to you about that 34 years later, you know, you have to take the good with the bad. This is pretty cool, you know, and we appreciate being here. We appreciate you guys wanting to do this because there's people out there who want to hear it. We totally appreciate that. But yeah, grunge was part of it. You know, we had some drug issues in the band. There was some personality issues. You know, there was a lot going on.
Right.
We had a label that was a major, but they weren't really a hard rock label. And, you know, we can only blame ourselves for signing with that particular label. You know, we had people talking in our ears about direction. Our fans felt we evolved a little too quickly. You know, so there's a lot of things in hindsight that could be why we're not a household name, which I take equal blame for all those things. I'm certainly not pointing the finger at anyone else. I was there, you know, and if anyone could have stopped it, it's the people who were there, you know. And so we did what we did. We were very, very young people making the best decisions we could, and we were absolutely poor, very, very poor. So you know, that crept into it also.
Great. Yeah, so definitely want to thank you both for taking some time out of your busy schedule.
Sure.
With the cruise coming up, but wanted to thank you for joining us and chatting with us, and we're really looking forward to hosting you here at the Salisbury Center and playing in front of a great live music crowd.
We love live rock and roll. You know, Kevin and I, of course, everybody that'll be out here, we're all in that camp. You know, there's nothing like a great live rock show. So I appreciate, you know, Rob, Jomby, both of you guys' dedication to performing live, and, you know, that opening statement, no backing tracks. You know, what you see is what you get. It is authentic as authentic can be. And in those moments, to me, when you're out in that crowd and you're watching those authentic moments, there's nothing like it. So we're really looking forward to that on the 22nd. So thank you for putting on that show.
Thank you for having us. We're, you know, I'm very proud of where we're at. We've worked very hard since July of 22 when Jommy joined the band at getting to this point of being able to present a very aggressive, cool rock show that's very inviting to the audience. And I think you're going to really like it, and we're happy to be there. Who is the other bands on the bill? Do you know?
The other band is a local band here from Manassas. So speaking of Manassas, their name is F It All, and it's
one more time.
F It All. Like it could be. I guess it could be like, you know, skewed as fuck it all, but it's spelled almost like a pharmaceutical, right? F It All. So it's EPHITOL. So it has a pharmaceutical spelling, but that's the double meaning of F It All. So F It All is, and they're a fun band. They're a fun group of guys, and you know, they do some great covers that the audience really responds well to.
Well, we're happy to have them aboard. And Jommy, what do you got to add? What are your parting thoughts?
Yeah, I can't wait to be there to play for you guys. And I'm sure will be an amazing concert.
Absolutely. So, and then also tell us about where we can find you guys on social media, because we certainly want to, make that a part of our podcast so that people see more of this. If you're not watching now, they'll be watching later. And then, of course, where to find out more information about the band.
Jommy?
You can find Spread Eagle, of course, on social media like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all the streaming platforms, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, and etc. What else? Our official website, Spread Eagle
US,
right? And
then the Instagram, like your Instagram handle is just Spread Eagle.
I think it's Spread Eagle NYC on a lot of these platforms, but we're so easy to find, I mean, I guess if you type that in, you might get some other stuff also. But
that's what I was about to say.
Spread Eagle Band or Spread Eagle Music.
Spread Eagle Band or Spread Eagle New York City.
Don't be afraid to search for Spread Eagle. That is the bottom line.
Also, in my correspondence emails with you, there's a whole list of our links, socials.
Yep.
Feel free. I don't know if you can add any text to this.
We will absolutely do so, but I just wanted to make sure
we're actually showing the front page of the website right now.
Showing your website right now, but we wanted to make sure that everybody heard where to find you. We want to make sure that everybody knew.
For September, UK. I'm psyched to tour, and Europe also, which we haven't announced yet. I'm psyched to tour over there with Jommy, him being a European, and it's just, we're having good times. We get along. Jommy's a wonderful guy, and we get along really well. He's got a great support group around him, and we're really happy to have him. And, it's just fun stuff. We're blessed to be playing rock and roll.
Of course.
Really like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. And obviously, we generally, when there's a live event here, we try to get the band up in the studio with us. So hopefully, there'll be time in the schedule to have all four of you up in the studio and chat a little bit more about the band and maybe some crazy stories from
that's what I want to hear about.
Monsters of Rock Cruise.
That's where I was going. I want to hear about this Monsters of Rock Cruise after the fact.
Yeah. After it's done, then you'll have four people blabbing about it, and they'll be like, their minds will be blown. Also, we made a New Year's resolution back in January to do free meet and greets all year. So after the show, we usually all congregate at the merch table, and we do free meet and greets. So bring your LPs, bring your 8x10 photos, whatever, your CDs, your cassette tapes. We'll sign everything. We'll take pictures with you. So we love meeting the fans. It's very important.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll have a great time on the cruise, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys here on the 22nd.
Thanks for your time. And East Coast Street Metal, I love it. Love it. Love that label. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll see you at the Salisbury Theater.
All right.
February, March 22nd.
Friday, March 22nd. You got it.
We'll be right back on the Stand Up and Shout Rock